All right, welcome back. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at a PEP practice book for language arts. And this was created by the Ministry of Education. It is interactive, so if you do it on your own, you'll be able to, following the instructions, get your grade as soon as you're done. So let's go. We want to go to Book Fusion. So we're going to go to our URL section. We're going to type in bookfusion.com, hit enter, and it should take us to Book Fusion. You may sign up for an account, but you don't necessarily need that at this point. We click on libraries, and we have several libraries here. The one we're interested in is the library, which is public, for the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. We click on that. And here we have a whole section of things from the ministry that we can get into. Okay. But what I'm interested in is this section here at the top. PEP practice books for grade 6. And in this episode, we're going to focus on the language arts. It says interactive. I'm going to hit on this one. I'm going to click on the interactive section here. All right, let's go read now then. And our practice book comes up. So on our cover page, we're going to have a section for our name, the exam, the school name, the examination, and the subject here. You would go over, look at your registration information. You'd have your registration number, and it may come pre-slugged, meaning that it's filled in already. And if you have your timetables with you, you can double check to make sure that the reg number that you have on your timetable matches what is assigned. Instruction to students: read the instructions below before answering the questions in the booklet. 1. This booklet contains 10 questions. Now, the one you may do may have 40 questions in there when the time comes, but it will tell you ahead of time how many questions you are to complete. So there's no question about the number of questions to be done. Space is provided for you to shade your answers inside the booklet, and there is no separate answer sheet. So you don't need to be asking the invigilator for an answer sheet. One is provided within the booklet for you to do so. 2, all questions must be answered in this booklet by shading the selected letter space for the answer. 3, read each question carefully, and based on instructions given, for some questions, they may have more than one correct answer. So pay attention. You might be asked to select all the responses that are correct, and it might be more than one. Let's go with 4. For each question, options are given to choose from, and you need to indicate the answer or answers you have selected for each question by shading the corresponding letter space from the options given. All right. 5. If you change your answers, erase the first shaded answer completely, then shade in the new answer. Let's go. Do not make any stray marks on the paper, right? This paper is going to be primarily marked by computers, and the stray marks could interfere with that. This is how we're supposed to be shading. This is the correct way to shade. A complete shaded bubble. Okay, this is incorrect. If you have the bubble and you put inside a tick mark or an X mark, you put a little bit of shading, or you put a dot within that. That's not the correct way. The correct way here, a completely shaded bubble. If you do this, the computer will not know how to respond to that. So let's move on now. We're looking at language arts, and it says here answer all, and pay attention to this. You see the instructions when we see letters that are in block capital or bold letters. We need to pay attention to that. So answer all questions by shading the circle that matches your answer. Question 1. Read the sentence carefully, then select a sentence in which capital letters are correctly used. Okay, so here we go now. The big idea here is the use of capital letters. We need to know when to use capital letters. So make sure as you prepare for your exams that you're looking back at that. So we know that capital letters start sentences. They are used with proper nouns, the special names of people, places, and so on. They are used for certain titles of books and magazines and so on. And we go on now to say Mr. A.S. Mullings is the new principal of New Leaf Primary School. So we're starting Mr. and that's a title. The A.S., certain abbreviations will also have capital letters, right? So A.S. Mullings, so all of them have that. So we're cool with that. Is the new principal. Do we need to capitalize the word new? No, we don't. Principal, do we need to capitalize principal? No, we don't. But New Leaf Primary School, the special name of the school, we notice that here in this one, it's not capitalized in option A. So you'd have to be careful because everything could be right except one of the words, and that makes the entire thing incorrect. So we'll select D for our answer here. Okay, question 1, D. So again, the big idea here is what? Knowing how to use capital letters. So again, proper nouns, proper adjectives, and so on would use these capital letters. All right. So question 2. So this is a reading type, comprehension type thing. Let's go with this question 2. Read the paragraph and complete the task that follows it. As my family drove home last evening from Negril, the sun was going down. We were treated to a beautiful sunset. All around over our heads, the entire sky was pretty. And here, was pretty is underlined, so this must be of some significance to us later on. In a few minutes, the amazing show was over. The sun disappeared completely. The brightly colored sky faded to dark gray as the night began. So it says revise the paragraph by choosing the phrase which best, notice the word best, with the best descriptive detail to replace was pretty. Options are had a whole lot of bright colors mixed together. A. B. Shone because it was almost time for darkness. C. Glowed with astonishing shades of pink and gold. And D. Looked different than it usually does during the day. All right, so let's go with question 2. The big idea here is that we're looking for something that is similar in meaning to the words underlined. All right. Let's go. Pay attention also to best. All right. The one that best fits. Now, for questions like these, I would suggest that anything that is a comprehension type thing where we have to analyze a passage or a paragraph, that you read it more than once. Okay, read it more than once. Just don't jump at the first right answer that you see. because sometimes we could miss something the first time around. So we want to go through it once and we look at it again. So as my family drove home last evening from the grill, the sun was going down, all right, and we were treated to a beautiful sunset all over our heads. The entire sky was pretty. What do they mean? In a few minutes, the amazing show was over. So I guess night come. The sun disappeared completely and the brightly colored sky faded, okay, faded to dark gray as the night began. All right, so brightly colored sky. What are the colors at that time? All right, let's go back to this now. So a whole lot of bright colors mixed together. Not quite. Not quite. So I can't take A. Let me go now. It shone the all around our heads. The entire sky was shining because it was almost time for darkness. That don't make much sense to me. Glowed with astonishing shades of pink and gold. Now, based on my previous knowledge, I know that at that time of the day, the sky appears to be golden, as a golden color, and sometimes it has this pinkish hue to it. True. So let me hold on to this for a little while. I'm not taking A, I'm not taking B, I'm just holding to C. Then I'm going to check with D to see if this one is better. Look different than it usually does during the day. Alright, yes, that's true. It doesn't look that way normally during the day. But because it says pretty, and this one has something to do with colors here, people like to talk about beautiful sunset and so on. Here it is, beautiful sunset. I'm gonna take this. Let's take C. Okay. No more questions on this page. Checking to make sure all my answers are in. So I've selected D for 1 and C for 2. All right, so let's go on now with question 3. Question 3 says here, let me look. We need to choose the best phrase to add detail about the main character. All right, so let's read our paragraph here. I am writing about my dog Rufus. When Rufus was just 10 weeks old, he was picked up on the streets of Kingston and taken to a shelter. The shelter could keep a dog only for a short time before he finds a new home. When I saw this puppy, I couldn't keep my eyes away from his sweet face. I knew that I wanted to name this puppy Rufus and take him home. With the help of my mom, I adopted him and brought Rufus to our home. Now Rufus is almost 1 year old and he loves me unconditionally. Now it says here instructions, choose the best, pay attention to this word, best phrase to add detail about the main character. All right, so who is the main character? All right, let's go. So who or what is this passage about? It's about Rufus. Rufus is mentioned several times, but the person writing, I am writing, is not mentioned by name or anything like that. So even though they are the ones writing, Rufus would be at the heart of this paragraph. All right, so let's go. A, I would never be able to give Rufus away. Rufus is now a playful and happy dog. I volunteered at the shelter where I saw this little puppy. Rufus is a good watchdog. I'm going to read my paragraph again to make sure that I'm not missed out on anything, and then I go to answer my question. So I'm writing about my dog Rufus. When the dog was just 10 weeks old, he was picked up on the streets of Kingston and taken to a shelter. The shelter could keep a dog only for a short time before he finds a new home. When I saw this puppy, I couldn't keep my eyes away from his face, his sweet face. I knew that I wanted to name this puppy Rufus and take him home. With the help of my mom, I adopted him and brought Rufus to our home. Now, Rufus is almost 1 year old and he loves me unconditionally. What do I need to do now? Choose the best phrase that adds more detail about the main character. All right. So, just looking at this, I would never be able to give Rufus away. This isn't about the main character. If we go back to subject of the sentence, subject and object, the subject of this sentence is I. I would never be able to give Rufus away. The subject is the doer in the sentence, and the object receives some action. So this one is active, the other one is passive. So I would never be able refers to whoever the writer is doing something, and Rufus is passive. So this first sentence is not necessarily about Rufus. This first sentence would be about who? About the person writing, the author. So this one is out. Okay. Rufus is now a playful and happy dog. All right, so this one is about Rufus. And next one, I volunteered at the shelter where I saw this little puppy. Again, this one is about here. This one is about the writer. So this is not helping me with the character, the main character here. Rufus is now a good watchdog. So I have two sentences here that deal with the main character, Rufus, and two that don't. So I'm going to get rid of A and I'm going to get rid of C. Now, it says choose the best. So I have two options to choose from. So let's go with this now. Where in this it talk about Rufus being a watchdog? It doesn't tell me that anywhere. Never say anything about Rufus being a good watchdog. So I can't make that conclusion. However, he loves me unconditionally. If your dog, based on my experience, if you have a dog that loves you, they always want to play with you, and so on. So, and then if he was adopted and has found a new home and so on, he should now be happy. So, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take B for this one. Rufus is now a playful and happy dog. Right? Alright, so that's question 3. Let's go to question 4. Question 4. Well, just one thing here. Sometimes our answers might not necessarily be perfect, but we're looking for the best of what we were given. Okay, so you might have a slightly different opinion as to what would be perfect, or what a perfect answer would look like, but remember, they're using the word best. All right, so question 4. Question 4, this is the beginning of a story written by a student who wants to use dialogue. So what's a big idea here? Dialogue. And we know that when we're doing anything with dialogue, we're going to be looking at what words that come directly from someone, and we're going to enclose those words with what? Quotation marks. Dialogue can come at the start of something. It can at the start of a story, and it can flow throughout the story. These quotation marks can come at the beginning of a sentence. We could have something that goes before this, or it could be interrupted. So all of those things associated with how we use dialogue need to be in your mind as you answer this question. So let's read through. Sam was always afraid of different crawling and flying insects and lizards. Sam was screaming and running away every time he saw a moving spider or a running lizard. When Sam went on a field trip with his class, he didn't want his classmates and his teacher to know that he was scared of insects. All right. Let's go with this again. I'm looking this over. This is beginning of a story. Da, da, da. Dialogue. So Sam was always afraid of different crawling and flying insects and lizards. Sam was screaming and running away every time he saw a moving spider or running lizard. And when Sam went on a field trip with his class, he didn't want. All right, so that's the setup. Now, one, it says, "Are you afraid of this little lizard, Sam?" The teacher smiled as she moved the tree branch away from Sam. When was Sam afraid of lizard them already? Sam almost fainted when he saw a lizard sitting on a tree branch. Alright. Not at all. Well, not really. Come on, Sam. He does want people to know. Sam smiled, hoping that his teacher hadn't noticed what she had noticed. Alright, so something, this doesn't sound like it would come first. Something would have happened first before this. So, alright, let's see. In the dialogue that the student wants to use, place the three sentences marked 1, 2, and 3 as shown above in the correct order from the start of the dialogue to the end. So 1, 2, and 3, we need to put them in the correct order. Now there's a phrase that we could use for correct, well, a word that we could have used for this phrase, correct order, and that would be sequence. So you could see on another paper, instead of correct order, they could say sequence the following sentences, to make the dialogue complete or correct. So let's go now. Which sentence should come first? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Which sentence should come second? 1, 2, or 3? Which sentence should come third? 1, 2, or 3? All right. Now, just looking at it, as I said, I think that 3 should come last, because that seemed logical that this one is at the end. When I was, reading through it, that's what came out to me. But let's go. I want to think 2 should come first. Sam almost fainted when he saw a lizard sitting on a tree branch. Then the teacher asks the question, "Are you afraid of this lizard, Sam?" The teacher smiled as she moved the tree branch away from Sam. Okay. Then, not at all. Well, not really. Sam smiled, hoping that his teacher hadn't noticed. So I think, and then for the teacher to notice, that means, Sam would have to have seen it first. Okay. All right. So I want to say which one should come first. I think 2, then 1, then 3. I think that's the correct order. Now, sequencing is at the heart of the question, but we also need to, pay attention to dialogue, and we notice the use of our quotation marks here at the beginning of this particular sentence here at the beginning as well. But remember that dialogue helps to make a piece of writing interesting. Okay, it adds something to your, to your writing. These quotation marks, people also call them inverted commas, and so on. So go back to that section that deals with dialogue, so that if you meet on a question that asks you to add your own pieces of dialogue to a particular piece of writing that you're doing, then you know how to do it. If you're asked to correct it, whatever, you have that down pat. So question 4, big idea here, dialogue, and then another one, sequencing the sentences here. So we have to sequence something so that it makes sense. For example, you don't go to school first and then you get bathed and you get dressed, then you bathe. That does that completely out of it, right? So sequencing is important, and that's at the heart of this particular question. So let me just double check on my paper here. So I've done question 3, I've done question 4. I'm moving to the next one. Question 5. Here we have the flattered flying fish. All right, let's see what this one is about. Author V. E. Ryo. Let's go now. Said the shark to the flying fish over the phone. Will you join me tonight? I'm dining alone. Let me order a nice little dinner for 2. And come as you are in your shimmering blue. Said the flying fish, fancy remembering me and the dress I wore at Porpoise's tea. How could I forget? Said the shark in his guile. I expect you at 8, and rang off with a smile. She has powdered her nose. She has put on her things. She's off with one flap of her luminous wings. O little one, light-hearted and vain, the moon will not shine on your beauty again. All right, so I'm going to read it once more just to make sure I have a better understanding of what's going on. Said the shark to the flying fish over the phone, will you join me tonight? I'm dining alone. Let me order a nice little dinner for 2. Little dinner for 2. And come as you are in your shimmering blue. Said the flying fish, fancy remembering me. Sounds so like, blushing. And the dress I wore at Porpoise's tea. How could I forget? Said the shark in all his glee. I expect you at 8, and rang off with a smile. So here it says, no, she has powdered her nose. She has put on her things, getting dressed. She's off with one flap of her luminous wings. Oh, little one, light-hearted and dear, light-hearted and vain, the moon will not shine on your beauty again. All right. So question 5 now says, which 2? Okay, pay attention to this now. This word 2 is important here. Which 2 statements best describe the main idea in the poem? All right. So we have 2 to take. So we have 2 options. Not everyone will love you if you're beautiful. I don't get that from that. 2, it's always good to think before you act, seems so. Because at the end here, it says the moon will not shine on your beauty again. So something bad going to happen. This seems like somebody dead here, so right? The little flying fish is going to die. So think before you act. So if you're a fish, maybe you shouldn't be going out with a shark. So I'll take that one. Sharks are always trying to eat other fish. Yes, we know that. Let me look at D. Things are not always what they seem. This looks good. So, the main idea, the main idea, pardon me, main idea here, I think would be B and D. Yes, we know that sharks are always trying to eat fish, but I don't think that the author is trying to tell us that sharks eat fish. We know this already, previous knowledge. But the main idea is that one, it's always good to think before you act, and things are not always what they seem. So I'll take those two. Let's go with number 6 and 7. So read question 6 and 7 below carefully, and based on the context of the underlined word, choose the word which is opposite in meaning. So we're looking for antonyms. All right. All right. So let's go with question 6. Since it was a school day, Denise thought it was peculiar that she saw no children on the street during her drive to work. So peculiar is my word of focus. What peculiar mean? Strange, unusual. All right, so normal, unusual, odd, weird. So I am looking for a word now that is opposite to peculiar. Looking for a word that is opposite to peculiar. Which word will that be? I'm going to go with the word normal. Okay, so I'm picking normal here. All right, so question 7. Let me pull this up a little bit more. John was bewildered when he saw the math teacher writing letters on the board that were to be added and subtracted. Aren't letters for reading class? John thought to himself. I would know algebra is what he's thinking about here. All right, so let's go bewildered. What does bewildered mean? Confusing. All right, let's look at my options. Baffled. That sounds like bewildered. Enlightened. Puzzled. Sound like bewildered. Perplexed. Sound like bewildered. So these words appear to be synonyms, except for enlightened. I'm going to take enlightened. Okay, opposite of bewildered. Number 8, identify the abstract noun in the sentence below. So for 8, let's go. So I need to go back. Big idea here would be nouns. All right. So I need to know my common nouns, my proper nouns, my abstract nouns, my concrete nouns, and so on. So let's go to the section about abstract and concrete nouns. Going back in my mind, what is a concrete noun versus an abstract noun? In the book, it says concrete nouns are things that we can see, touch, manipulate, experience with our senses, and so on. So, for example, a ball, I can see the ball, touch the ball, handle it, and so on. But abstract nouns are different in that we can't see them and experience them with our senses quite the same way we would concrete nouns. Okay, so abstract nouns tend to refer to qualities and ideas and so on. All right, yeah, all right, good. I'm ready for this one now. The prefect was asked to man the class in the teacher's absence. So teacher gone and the prefect is supposed to take care of the class. All right, so which word here is an abstract noun? All right, so let me go for the nouns then. The is an adjective, it's an article. Prefect is a noun. Yeah. Was asked would be a verb phrase. To man, in this case, man here so is a verb. Okay, so to man, verb phrase. The class is a noun. In preposition. The would be the article again. Teachers, this is possessive noun. Absence. Absence here is my what type of noun? My abstract noun, because I can see the prefect. I could touch the prefect. I could see the teacher here. I know what the teacher looks like and so on, right? Good. But absence. This is my abstract noun. This one. All right. Let's go with man. No, so this is a verb class. No, teacher. So this one, absence is the one that we would choose here. All right. Let's go to, let me just double check. So I have answers for 6, 7, and 8. All right. Let's go to question 9. Read each passage below, then indicate what the author's purpose is for each question. All right, so author's purpose. Why is the author writing? What is their aim? Okay, and we're seeing already here, entertain, persuade, inform. All right, so those are the options we are given. Entertain, what does that mean? That means to make you feel happy. Maybe you get a joke, you laugh. Persuade, somebody is trying to convince you to do something, to take some action. And to inform, somebody kind of sharing some knowledge with you, some facts about something. Their ideas about a concept, they're informing you. All right, so now that I understand what these are, to entertain, to persuade, and to inform, let me see how these match up with these ones. What do you do with aluminum cans? Do you throw them in the trash, or do you recycle when you are finished with them? At the rate we are filling our landfills, we will not have anywhere else to put our trash. If you recycle, you will help the environment. This is science based content that I'm seeing in language arts. Okay, and this is something that we need to pay attention to. Comprehension type exercises in language arts can come from any other subject in the curriculum. Okay, so let's go again. What do you do with the aluminum cans? Do you throw them in the trash, or do you recycle them? Are they trying to entertain me and give me a joke? This not seem so. Are they trying to persuade me? They don't really tell me to do anything, you know. So for now it seems more information than anything else. All right, let's go with the second one here. This time when Mr. Smith called on Miss Annie, Boise could not deny that he had climbed the guinea tree. Boise could not see his mother's face from the hiding place he had found, but he knew from the tone of her voice that his punishment would be serious this time. He knew he had to face his mother, but he was prepared to do so only after Mr. Smith had left. Sound like a story. So if it's a story, this could be to entertain. Okay. All right. Let me go with this one here. We need a change at our school. Exclamation mark tells me that some emotion is involved in this one. I am the person for the job. I am an honest student who is involved in many different activities. I know I can make a difference. Vote for me and our school will be even better. Vote for Candice Park. All right, so this sounds like, oh, this person trying to get me to vote. That means that, let me look again. B, persuade. All right, cool. Let me see. I'm going to review my answers to make sure. For question 9, what do I do with these scans and so on? They're informing me that we can recycle. Yeah. They're informing me that I can recycle. Let me go with this one. Boys in Miss Annie and Mr. Smith sound like a story that would be to entertain, so I'm reading for pleasure. Then you need to vote for me. You need to vote for Candice. That's being persuaded there. Okay, so let's go on now to question 10. All right, question 10 says read the poem, then indicate whether each statement is supported or not supported. Okay, so supported means that we find some reasons that, you know, defend that particular point of view. And if it's not supported, I find no evidence for it. Okay, so we're looking for the evidence for something, and if it's not there, then we know it's not supported. This one says nature. We have neither summer nor winter, neither autumn nor spring. We have instead the days when the gold sun shines. All right, on lush cane fields magnificently. The days when the rain beats like bullets on the roofs and there is no sound but the wish of water in the gullies and the trees struggling in the high Jamaica winds. All right. Also there are days when leaves fade from off the guango trees and the reaped cane fields lie bare and fallow to the sun. But best of all, there are days when the mangoes and logwood blossom, when bushes are full of the sound of bees and the scent of honey, when the tall grass sways and shivers to the slightest breath of air, when buttercups have paved the earth with yellow stars, and beauty comes suddenly, and the rains have gone. All right, so they're saying here buttercups, this asterisk here, buttercups are large flowering plants with shiny yellow petals. All right, I'm gonna read this once more. All right, what am I looking for here? Things that support some statements below. Let me look at those statements before I read again the passage. So statements supported or not. So this is where I put my answer. Statement. The poet lives in a place that has a tropical climate. All right, so when I'm reading over, I'm going to look to see if I can think about climate. All right, so that appears to be important. The poet is describing a hurricane in all of it. Bullets fell on the roof. Bullets. All right, let me go through. Read again. So here we have neither summer nor winter, neither autumn nor spring. Social studies work. This is dealing with climatic zones, So there are some places on earth where we have all of the seasons, right? So summer, winter, autumn, spring, those 4 seasons are distinct in the temperate zone. However, places that are like in the tropical zone, we don't have that. We don't have those things. So Jamaica, for example, will not have 4 distinct seasons. Okay. In the quote unquote winter months, because we are so close to the temperate zone, we have what? Northerlies, or we have the Christmas breeze. and it gets a little cooler at that time of year. There are also other places that are subtropical, that also experience slight variations, but they are not going to see the distinct season. So we don't have snow falling here, for example. Okay, and there are other places in the world where snow doesn't fall, but it just gets pretty cool. All right, so we have instead days when the cold sun shines. So even during what we call the cooler months, those winter months, winter season, um, like the winter tourist season. These people come here because they want to get away from the cold. Okay, sun still shines, still nice and bright outside, right? Warm. On the lush cane fields magnificently. All right. When okay, so here we have a change. The days when the rain beats like bullets. Oh, this is where they get the bullets from. Beats like bullets on roofs. Oh, rainy season. And there is no sound, but the swish. Okay, when rain finish fall, there is no sound, but the swish of water in the gullies, and the trees are struggling in high Jamaica winds. All right, yes. Also, there are days when the leaves fade off the guango trees, and the reap cane fields lie bare and fallow to the sun. But best of all, there are days when the mango and logwood blossom. Okay, when the bushes are full of the sound of bees and the scent of honey. This person knows what the bush is like, because you don't just smell wild honey like that. Okay, this honey is wild. Let's go when the tall grasses sways, when the tall grass sways and shivers to the slightest breath of air. Okay, so we see the grass moving based on the air that's passing there. When the buttercups have paved the paved the earth with yellow stars, and beauty comes suddenly, and the rains have gone. All right, and they tell us what the buttercup is. So if I didn't know, I know now. Let's look at the statements. So this one, the poet lives in a place that has a tropical climate. That is supported. The poet is describing a hurricane. Not in all of it. Bullets fell on the roofs. No, that's not what he was saying. He was making a comparison. Let's go back to that section. So the days when rain beats like bullets. Never said that bullets fell like bullets. I wonder what's that called again when we make a comparison using as or like. What's that called again? That would be a simile. That's a figure of speech. Okay, so as or like, we're making a comparison. So the author wants us to think about what the rain is like, maybe what it sounds like when it starts to rain and hits, for example, a metal roof, right? A zinc roof. So he wants to make the writing more interesting by making that comparison, and that's the reason why people use figures of speech, and the simile is one. Okay, there are others, the metaphor, personification, alliteration, and so on. But all of those things are used to what? To make your writing exciting. So that's the author's reason for making that particular comparison there. All right. So again, look at it. If we understand the social studies concepts that are here, this big idea about the social studies, again, all the subjects are linked, and the better you do in all the subjects, it is the better for you. All right. So that whole section on the climatic zones and understanding that, having that previous knowledge would definitely help you to pick up what the passage is about here. Okay. So supported versus not supported. We're looking for the things that give us evidence of, and not supported, we find no evidence for it. All right. All right. So this looks like we're done. I'm going to go back through all the way to the top. Make sure that I have my answers here. And similarly, when we are working on our own papers, we need to make sure that we are doing the same thing. Let's go question 1, have an answer there. Question 2, answer there. Question 3, answer is there. 4, okay. Let's go with 5. I was asked to do what? Only have to answer. Okay. Which 2 statements? Alright, good. I need to have 2 there. Let me go over to question 6, 7, 8. Alright, good. Let's go over to 9. Alright, have those there. Yes. Multi-select. Let's go over to 10. Answer is there. Alright, good. So now I'm going to say mark. Bam. I'll get 8. So I have 2 that are incorrect. Let's go and see which 2 we have incorrect. Let's go. Maybe I made a mistake somewhere. Let's go with this all the way back to question. Oh, not too far. All right, so question 1 and 2 are okay. Question 3 is okay. Question 4 is okay. Question 5 is okay. Question 6. No, gone too far. Question 6. All right. They have question 8 as being incorrect. And we know that this one is the correct answer as in absence. All right. So not worried about that. Question 9. That's good. And question 10. See, left off 1. We needed to have selected this one as well. So apparently, even though we were checking, apparently this one was not selected here. And we know that bullets fell on the roof was not selected. So even though we were going through, we still left off 1. So very important that we go through and make sure that, as confident as we are in our answers, if it's not actually shaded, I'm not going to get a mark for it. All right, so I hope that this exercise will help us to understand how we approach a paper, some of the common mistakes that we can make. All right. We have strategies and tactics that we have to use in trying to go through a paper. All right, guys. So there are several other papers there as well that you can look at. All right, I'm going all the way back. Let me see if we can get back there. Okay. All right. In the wrong tab. Let's go back. So here we have science, social studies, and mathematics. All right. So we have those sections, and we have the ability test questions as well. So we have gone through just one. Now it's important for you to take time out and go through the others as well to make sure that you are doing what? Getting the practice needed. So I look forward to hearing from you in the comments what you thought about this particular episode. Did you learn anything new? What strategies do you know in taking tests such as this? And do your best to be prepared for your examinations.